First, I just want to share the news that I got today, which is that we got into Romford Film Festival with Yellow Ticket,
Really?
which is very close to you, I think, right?
It's literally a stone's throw. Yeah, it's really a stone's throw. It's such an English expression. It's like a 15-minute car journey. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So that's pretty amazing. And if it will work with my family plans and so on, I will try to come. That would
Wonderful.
be great to see it once again on the big screen with you.
And is that a short film festival?
It's actually both. So it's features and shorts. It has like 10 years of history, I think, this festival. And I have a friend, Simon Smith, the editor of Chernobyl, The Last of Us Season 2, and so on. Like, he's the great, great editor, whom I call a friend as well, an online friend up to this point, but still. And he also had his short film out there, I think 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago. I'm not really sure right now. But yeah, I think it will be a great experience for sure. So hopefully I will make it there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and who knows, maybe you'll be nominated. I wouldn't be surprised. So
I wouldn't, not with this moustache. I must explain. I'm doing a series for the BBC. I'm in a couple of episodes of a series for the BBC. It's called Father Brown, and it's set in the 1950s in a little small village in England. And when I got the part, they said to me, because one of my pictures I have a beard, and another picture I don't have a beard, and they said, "Do you have a beard?" To which I said yes, and they said, "Would you mind shaving the bottom half off and keeping your moustache, because we think it would work really well for the character." So hence why I'm sporting a very well-shaped moustache.
awesome. There is a comment. Mom watches Father Brown, so you know,
Fantastic.
that's pretty cool, right? Okay, explains a lot about your facial hair.
Yeah.
So good.
There is a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I don't live. So I play a character worthy of dying, to which I do. So yeah.
I guess that happened to you for not for the first time, right? A character
Oh,
dying.
many times. Unfortunately, my daughter is of an age now. So my daughter's 11, and so she helps me a lot with my lines. She loves to. Also for Yellow Ticket, she did. But the first thing that she says to me is, "Do you live or do you die?" And so I die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So let me start with questions, right? So the first one is about your first impression about after reading the screenplay for Yellow Ticket. How did you feel about it? What was your impression about the script, and also, I guess, the vision of shooting something in Poland? So flying into Poland. I know you haven't been here before, so how was it for you?
So I've been fortunate enough to shoot away from home quite a bit, and to fly in to shoot in different countries. The most important thing was the story, the script, which I loved. I really loved. And once I read it, I sort of put it to the side and had a think, and then read it again. And then I phoned my agent and said to her, I've read this script. It's great. You've got to read it. She did read it 2 days later, and she agreed it's something that I think you should do. The dates worked perfectly for me, and so I couldn't wait. And you and I, Peter, we'd had conversations over Zoom. We'd run through parts of the script and discussed sort of our ideas of the character, and it was perfect. Like that, like your view and my view, and so then once it was all in place, I was sort of really keen to get to Poland and begin work, which we did. And I think it was 3 days, 4 days, 3-4 days, but they were quite intense.
3 days, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely tense. It's not ideal to have this kind of rehearsal online via Zoom, right? But it's still better than nothing, right? And I think especially for this, we had to do it this way. because I think rehearsal, I don't know what's your impression on that, but I think rehearsal was very important, because then we pretty much fine-tuned things on set, but like the overall vision behind the character was done in the prep, right? And we talked about this thing about Valentine that was supposed to resemble Marmeladov from Crime and Punishment, who was a very tragic character, because it was both a character that is very that has this kind of like huge honor to his name, and treats himself as someone very important, but at the same time he's a clown. And balancing those two elements was, I think, very interesting in that character, and for you to play, I'm sure.
I think also he carries a lot of guilt, doesn't he, Marmeladov? He has a lot of guilt within him as well, which is something that I'm very good at sort of conveying. But going back to your first point about being on Zoom, that obviously post-COVID, as an actor, everything now, castings, applying for jobs, it's all self-tape, and sometimes as well the callbacks are on Zoom. So I'd got used to working in that sort of way, but to be able to discuss it and to have the conversations without any outside interference, and having that on Zoom sort of really did set it up. But it was part of me, the work that we'd put in place was enough to come to Poland and play this character who was essentially surprising this group of students, wasn't he, really? Yes. So to keep back some of the information from those wonderful actors on the day was essential, I think. I guess they'd read it, but we hadn't had that amount of rehearsals to which they would know what was coming. So I think that there was a certain amount of that. There was a bit of the spontaneity of it, which was great.
Yeah, I think that's they did confirm it that young actors were surprised by your performance, and we something we did before the shoot. That day before the shoot, we had some kind of like a round table that we did, right? Yes. But what I told the actors before all of you, before we did that round table read through, was that I don't want you to go 100% of the emotion that you will be going. I want you to play with it, and I didn't really care about meeting all of the emotional points that we sure. agreed to and so on, right, before the shoot. I think it was, for me, this read-through was really just about you getting to know each other and to play with it, and to see the potential of the story being read together in a room, right, and to feel this dynamic and to get the excitement for the next 3 days that we had. I think it worked.
Yeah. There was, and even our early Zoom meetings, there was moments where I didn't want to do too much, or when I did too much in just reading a page or 2 pages. Just the fact that we both knew that we were able to get there, and then, right, let's sit back on it, let's wait, let's rest. The work is to be done in Poland. Let's not do anything too crazy over Zoom.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Let's leave some room for both surprise a little bit, right? Yeah. And just not to, I don't know, just to keep the moment special. I think it's good to reserve this emotional
and also as an actor as well. I think the danger is to make too many choices. Don't make too many choices too soon. A lot of choices I hadn't made, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then I have a prop, and I have the jacket, and then I see the faces before me, and it's all about reacting and responding to that before choices are made. And I think that happened a lot on set. Most of my choices and decisions were made then and there, and you and I would constantly talk and communicate, and that's what I think worked.
Yeah, I really liked how you worked with Michał, who plays Jeff.
Yeah.
Because you could see this relationship of you listening to him and then responding to, you know, how he acts. Because Michał also had a few suggestions on his own on how to change the script a little bit, change a word here and there, or something that he does, like give a certain twist to it or something like that. And you definitely had this dynamic of both of you reacting from, you know, one from each other, basically, right?
I think there was an element of me kind of keeping him on his toes a little bit. He was a lovely actor and lovely person to be around, full of energy. But I wanted to keep an element of, I want to make sure that he's not too sure what I'm going to do next. And I think that worked. I think it helped.
I think you succeeded.
yeah.
Definitely. I remember we talked about this, like, let's surprise him with that, like, you know.
Yeah, and it brought a wonderful performance from him as well. Yeah. Together, it brought the best out of both of us, I think.
Yeah. And by the way, like, you know, acting in that bilingual environment, because, like, you know, the action of the film happens in Polish, British high school, but also our set was bilingual, right? Because I tried to speak to people in English, but still, like I had to switch to Polish sometimes. And we had, I think, 2 occasions on the set where I actually started talking to you in Polish, right? Because, you know, switching languages is just so tricky.
English, yeah. But you know what, as well, what was interesting was so the university was where the university was, the location, and I was staying in a sort of a self-contained little hotel room 5 minutes away. So in the morning, I could get ready and I could walk myself, not talk to anybody, get to set, get changed, take my time, get on set as soon as I can when the lighting would permit it. I kind of just went with it, and the building did add to it. And you felt like you were in a university. You knew it was a university, and it helped.
Yeah. The high school, it was a high school actually, right? And the high school was in fact, was a British high school. I mean, it was Polish-British high school. It's pretty much what we, you know, the location that we had in the fictional story as well. And, you know, from my observations of that high school, the reality there is a little bit different. So we still, like, you know, it's not like we were trying to copy how things run over there. And how lessons look and stuff like that. But like, it was interesting that we actually, the location correlated with you know, the fictional story that we were working on.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, like one of the elements that we also did, let's say in pre-production, although it was on the last day before the shoot, so almost production, right? Was the secrets that I've put in envelopes, which is something that I learned from Judith Weston's book, Directing Actors. I recommend it. It's a great book. I think both for directors and actors, and so what I did is that for every character in the script that had lines, I had a secret that I've put in an envelope, and I gave it out to the actors and told them to read the secret, but not to share it with other actors before the end of the shoot. And in your case, it was very interesting because it resonated with your life, actually, right?
It really did. It was my character almost being embarrassed of your father's profession. So it was a little bit of that. Am I right, Peter? I'm just trying to rack my brain now. I think that the slip that you gave me was that you were, my character, Valentine, was embarrassed of your father and the profession that he had.
Yes.
And if I can share,
I'll just give you a little bit more context. So my thinking about behind this secret and why I wanted to give out secrets to the actors is that I wanted to give another layer of understanding of the character. And in this case, in the case of Mr. Valentine, of our teacher, I wanted to plant this idea in René's head that his character really cared about grassroots level work more than climbing up the ladder of his career, and he's about to be promoted to the principal to a principal position, right? But at the same time, he's doubting his decision, and we'll learn why in the feature film that we'll talk about, I guess, in a moment. But that element of it, I wanted something that will convey that he really doesn't care about his career that much. It's more about what he gives as a teacher to the kids he's teaching, right? And the secret was that that basically in the past he has been ashamed of the line of work that his father is at.
And so, if I can share it, and so what was interesting was when I was about 15. I had a TV job that I was doing, and it was a situation comedy. It was a comedy with some very, very good actors. And I was 15, and in England, until you are 16, if you're acting before you are 16, you must be chaperoned. And I was like 6 months away from turning 16, but I still felt like, I was old enough. I didn't need a chaperone. And on the day of rehearsals, my dad, bless my father, he was a chauffeur at the time. So he had a very nice car and he would drive people about. And he said, "I'm not working today, René. I'll take you to where you need to rehearse for the comedy." So you had a week's rehearsal before you filmed it in front of a live audience. And so my dad pulled up to outside the rehearsal rooms, and he said, "What should I do?" And I said, just sit here, wait for me here, Dad. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to be very long. So my dad said, "No problem." So I got out of the car and I came in and I sat down with all these wonderful actors, and there was about 10 of us. And we're all sitting chatting, and about an hour in, all of a sudden the door opens, the outside door, and my dad pops his head in and he looks at me in front of everybody and he says, "Can I use the toilet?" I was so embarrassed, and I went, "Yeah, it's over there." And he came in, he used the toilet, and then he left. He didn't say anything, and someone said to me, "Who's that?" And I was so embarrassed to say it was my dad. I said, "Oh, he's my taxi driver, my cab driver." And he left, and it was only later that I was I felt so bad about it.
Yeah,
but at that moment in time, I felt so embarrassed about my dad being there, and it just resonated. And the minute you gave me that letter, that piece of paper, and I opened it, it just took me back to that moment and how it made me feel about my dad, who I've since shared the story with, who found it hilarious. So
yeah, quite a story. You told me about it, I think, on the second day of shooting, and I couldn't believe it.
It was very appropriate.
Not something I expected.
No.
Okay, listen, I haven't asked you this question before, but I'm curious what you hope that people will take away from watching Yellow Ticket, from that point of that basically it's a short film about power and education, right? The use of power in the society, in institutional workspace, and education. So what's your hope for what people will take away from it?
Firstly, that they give Crime and Punishment another go. If they had in the past tried to read it and had then sort of backed away from it like I did many, many years ago, I wasn't old enough or mature enough to have read it when I first started reading it. Uh-huh. When I discovered that I was doing this, the first thing I did was read the book, and I spent 2 weeks reading the book. I have a child, so I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd give myself an hour to read and work my way through the book. And in that hour, if there was a moment that didn't make sense, I would make sure that I went back and read it again and understood it. And I would get a good hour's reading in, and then the day would begin and my daughter would wake up, and then I would do the whole sort of getting ready for school. So firstly, I recommend the book immensely because it is a brilliant piece of writing. That like we shot Yellow Ticket 2023, didn't we? 2023, 24, end of 23.
It's 2023, exactly. October 2023. That's right.
Yeah. And what I love about it is that I still feel so connected to it that a year on, and we went to some film festivals together. The film did really well in the festivals that it was entered. And just being able to talk about it, being proud of the work that we did and the work that we were able to achieve with other actors as well. And so all of those things I take away from. And also sort of I'd been working in England and doing projects, and you're just a small cog. Even if you've got a great part in it, there's an element of feeling a little like, wow, this is really big, and no one's listening to me. Whereas everybody listened to each other. Everybody had a view and something to say about the story and the characters and the educational part about it, and that as well. And then the last thing I want to say is I've taught in my life. I've sort of, when I haven't been acting, I've taught drama, and the main thing that I've always discovered when I'm teaching younger people, teenagers, is the language, is to communicate and being understood and trying to be accepted on their level. And so you can't win. I discovered that sometimes, you can't speak the same conversation, that even if you tried to adopt some of the words or the slang that it would. But in this piece, Valentine realizes that he's got to a point where he had to try something else to get them to listen, to get them to understand, to get them to put their phones down and interact with him and understand his passion for Crime and Punishment. And that was really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm very glad that quite a lot of people did decide to read Crime and Punishment for the first time or reread it, just as you did. And I didn't know that you were waking up, at 5 a.m. to do so. So that makes it even more impressive.
Well, I knew that I couldn't have any outside influence. I knew that it had to be, and I don't know about you, but I'm not the best sleeper. And when I wake up at, say, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, I write my best emails at that time. I never send them, but I create an amazing draft, like a great email, and I'm ready to go. But all the information and everything that I want to say, I get out in this email or a text or whatever. I don't send it. I send it at a reasonable hour. But I find that my best work is at that time because it's quiet.
Very interesting.
And,
no, I mean, up. I have to force myself to wake up earlier, but sometimes I do. Really? But no, I early mornings, I have very strong sleep. Anyway, we've got a comment. I admit I've never read it, but I plan to do so after seeing Yellow Ticket. So that's pretty awesome, and I have people around me also reading it. So I think it works in that regard. But I also hope, my personal hope is that people don't see Yellow Ticket as a story about Crime and Punishment, because it's really like, it only serves as a background to it. And even though I'm very proud to say that like Yellow Ticket has been endorsed by International Dostoevsky Society, which is something that I'm pretty sure we will also have on the feature film. It's still it's just a backdrop. It's just like something that, first of all, resonated with my life because I had the whole story was a little bit inspired by a teacher that I had in my high school who wouldn't go like, he wouldn't do things with an accent and so on, but he did perform one of the chapters from Crime and Punishment. This very one that we used for Yellow Ticket. And so it had impression on me, and it resulted in the fact that I actually started reading Dostoevsky's books. And I wasn't a strong reader. I usually avoided reading required readings in school, right? But still, my hope is that it serves just as a backdrop, just as a situation for the thing to play out, because it's really about this dynamic between the teacher and the students, and about a question what makes a good teacher, because I think it's such a difficult question to answer, especially these days. I think some people will look at Valentine and will be like, wow, quite a teacher. I admire what he did in a way, right? Even though he crossed the line, but still I admire what he was trying to do. Other people will see him and will be like, that's crazy. Such a person, doing things like that, he's out of his mind. I wouldn't even talk to this guy, right? So there is this spectrum of people and how they will react to it. But I think, that's Crime and Punishment serves as, as this medium basically to ask this question about good education. The feature film that we're working on, that we're hoping to make, it doesn't go further in Dostoevsky and his other work. It focuses more on what happens before the lesson and what happens after the lesson, the aftermath of the choices that Mr. Valentine did, right? So I think it will be less about, because some people do see Yellow Ticket about this, about the story of Crime and Punishment, this teacher that really likes it, but the feature is a little bit broader, I think, and touches on much more universal themes as well. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. It's interesting to expand on a character and to expand on his home, his family, the little things that make up the person that we see in Yellow Ticket. Do they contribute to how he behaves and how he acts? That's quite interesting to explore, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we in the short film we stay in one location. In the feature film we jump between locations, but the whole story happens from early morning till late afternoon. That's the whole story, one day. So that's something that we play with in the feature film. Is there any moment that stayed with you from the set, something that you recall quite often, or where when you talk about Yellow Ticket and your experience on the set that you mentioned?
It was the people that you communicated with that were not involved in the actual performing the act. It was the grips, it was the production manager, it was the catering, it was the producers. It was just that freedom and that sort of, everybody was so open and honest and lovely, and it was that you never felt like nobody was banging heads. It was that I came away thinking, what a wonderful experience, and then you wrap and you come away and you think, what a great experience, and then that turns to, oh my God, I hope it was good, I hope it's going to be okay, I hope this cut it, I hope that this when I delivered that line, and then your mind starts to play tricks on you and it all becomes a bit negative. But that's the life of an actor. So but the process beforehand, in leading into the performing and the making of it and the filming, it was all absolutely great. There was no one that you could have. It was just, everybody was great. It was a wonderful experience. Yeah, I loved Pope. Yeah. Once
it's shot, I mean, I'm not an actor, but I think the best way to go about it is just to let it go. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's
you
done.
have to.
It's
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
And
do until sorry, I was just going to say you do let it go until a couple of months on, or 3-4 months on, and you send me a text. You, Peter, sends me a text
yes.
going, "I've just watched this scene," and I'm like, "Right, okay," and then I'm just on you, like, "Tell me, and how did this bit?" And then it just then, and then it quietens down, and then you move on, and then you start again, and your mind is never really, and then you watch it for the first time, and then you have to be subjective as much as you can. So.
Yeah, and then you watch it for the second time, right? Because like the first watch, you I mean, being involved in this so greatly, the first watch is just, I don't know, just this first snapshot that you're taking, right?
And then when we went to the film festival and we watched it on the big screen, and it was quite a nice turnout. The cinema was, it was well represented, and you see it on a big screen for the first time, and it's you're immersed, aren't you?
It feels different,
and that's
right?
what it is, isn't it? That's what that's what Valentine does, doesn't he? He immerses the world. He immerses the students. It's all an immersive experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go to the films, when you go and watch a film, you're so involved. You're immersed in the story and the size of it, and I think that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and you've mentioned cast and crew, other people not in front of the camera, but just like taking care that everything works, and that's a compliment to my producer Adriana, right? She did most of that work, like collecting those people that work together really well, and I really appreciate it because it gave me this freedom to basically work with the actors and not care about any technical aspects or someone wanting a vegetarian version of lunch or something like that, right? I didn't have to care about this stuff, and that was really
So that was me. I did want the vegetarian version for lunch. You knew that.
Come on, there were like 10 or 15 people like that, so that's like I think it was almost 50-50, but still, like you have to think about this, and me not having this production mindset that Adriana has, I don't know, like I could miss it. I could not organize it in a way, so in this way, or even if I did, I would have to concentrate it on it. I would have to think about it. But because all of this has been taken care of, I had the freedom of just interacting with you and the rest of the cast, right? And that was also crew members, of course, like Matti, our cinematographer, right? And but my, I didn't have to worry about all of this other stuff that didn't require my my direct input as much as other departments did.
Yeah, it's true.
So
it's true.
like it takes a village to make a film, and it's
correct.
Yeah, it was.
Or you say it's a family. It's a family. For 3 days you bond.
Yeah, and it felt this way.
A lovely family. And there was a wonderful, wonderful man that looked after me, and Georgie was just... Georgie has to get a shout out because he was just brilliant. He was there. His eyes were on me, and whenever, or not just with anyone, he just was there. A bottle of water. Can I get you this? Do you need another script? Do you need a copy of the script? Do you want to come and sit down? Do you want some time to sit? No, it's all good. It's all good. He was brilliant. And so was Ada. Both fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that was great. I still remember the picture Dave sent me, because I knew they were picking you up from the airport. And Dave sent me a picture of Georgie holding a piece of paper with not René Zagger on it, but Mr. Valentine on it, right? That made me laugh so hard. It made me laugh so hard.
Same as me. As you get off of a plane and you land, And I didn't land at the main airport in Warsaw. It was the smaller one.
Yeah, you landed in a
smaller one. So you literally get off the... Yeah, you get off the plane and you're out. And it was really like you passport control and you're out. And there I was met with Georgie with my character name, and it did make me laugh. And then it was great friendship.
Small things like that, yeah.
Okay, so it really does matter.
I think we're opening to the questions. So if anyone has a question, please type it in the comments. But before we read them, I have this very loose question that I want to ask you, which is, what do you think would have to be on Mr. Valentine's playlist, Spotify playlist?
Rachmaninoff.
Rack.
A bit of Rach.
Okay.
I also think a bit of and a bit of jazz.
A little bit of jazz.
Yeah, like a bit of Bill Evans, Keith Jarrett, some music for him to like so not necessarily lyrical, but music that allows Valentine to think and create. So sort of like a music that would support where his mind might take him. Yeah.
Yeah. I have an anecdote about that actually, because the film ends with credits and with a song overlaying the edits, the credits. But initially, I was planning a different song over there, a Polish song by a band called Perfect, and you've seen it because it's in the original screenplay that you had.
Correct,
that there are lines of that a few verses of that song, which I think would be so much better actually for the overall impression after watching it, because the lyrics of the song, the original that I had in my mind, correlated with that story so much. Unfortunately, it was impossible for us to clear the copyrights for it. It has like 4 copyright owners, and it was not possible, even though we did try. Like we took quite a few ways of approaching those people and so on, but it didn't work, and we couldn't get all of them on board. So yeah.
Is it something that you would like to try again? Would you like to try again to get the?
I mean, we will not need it for the feature film, I think. I think it worked real well with the short film. For the feature, I don't think we need it. And and feature will be different in a lot of ways, because, like, for example, the use of music. We don't really have music in Yellow Ticket. We only have those like drawn sound effects overlaid, in certain moments. But this is still very slight, it's there, but it's not really there. It's just for the feeling that you get in certain moments, of this ominous feeling that you get.
It was in Valentine's mind, yeah.
Yes,
I think that was he was underscoring it in his mind, because it was the moment where he goes to the bag for the first time in front of the students. Suddenly something comes in. It's very subtle, but really effective.
Exactly. But the feature will actually have scenes that, use music much more, and that drive the story a little bit more as well. Like, that have, it will be, I guess, scored a little bit more traditionally in this way. Okay, so we've got questions. So, most challenging scene to film. Let's start with you.
It wasn't the axe. I really loved doing that. I loved the pressure. I loved the fact that there's 2 goes at it, because there's 2 brilliant tables that were put together by a wonderful set designer. And I knew we rehearsed and we blocked, and I knew where it had to go. So I loved the technical aspect of that. I loved doing that. And when it came off, I was very pleased. I very rarely shoot anything in chronological order. As an actor, you'll go onto a set and you'll shoot all over. But we pretty much shot in chronological order.
Pretty much,
yeah. No, it felt like one scene. The whole piece felt like one scene. So for me, it was just me having to keep continuity and the level of intensity. So it was, I liked keeping a good continuity within it. because there were cuts, there were very little breaks,
Yes.
but it was pretty much let's pick up and keep going.
Yeah. For me, I think
What about you?
I think the most stressful one was the longest scene, one take scene when you recitate the second section from the book, which also is connected with you explaining some things to the students. So it's not just the book; it's you like going, like, you know, very passionate about like all of these themes that are touched on in Crime and Punishment. And it was very challenging because it goes for like 2 minutes, and this one was very stressful to me. I don't know if it was most challenging one. I think that the most challenging one, I would say, was the one when you said that as the new principal of the school, I'm commanding you to stay, and then it was about interaction with the students and so on. I think this one was very challenging for me, and actually that was lesson learned on my end, because to be honest, we had a few students that I did spend some time on in pre-production as well, those that had like speaking lines, right? But there are a few students that only reacted to certain things that I regret not spending time with them before the shoot. And I think it made this moment, this very end of the film, almost very end of the film, like before the axe goes down, a little bit challenging. It was a little bit more challenging to me than it could be if I did spend the time in pre-production with those students as well. So it was lesson learned, I guess, in that way.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, the second one. Let's go with that one. What does the title "Touched by God: One Lesson, Everything to Lose" mean? I don't remember any religious references. So that's actually very interesting because it's not a religious reference. So that's a question that I will answer, right? So the thing that we play with, probably not the best way to put it, but one of the things we learn in the feature film is that Mr. Valentine deals with epilepsy, which is a slight reference to Dostoevsky as well, who dealt with it for his whole life. And I don't know, like this disease, illness, like it always was something that interested me. Partly because as a child, I had kind of an episode. It wasn't a seizure, but it looked quite scary to my parents, so they wanted to check. So I had EEG scan, and then it wasn't conclusive. So I guess it wasn't a seizure, but still, it was something that resembled a seizure to some extent. I had a fever during, like, you know, I was ill, so it was probably correlated with that. But still, that epilepsy fascinated me for quite some time. And a few years back, I learned that. I probably learned about it reading one of Dostoevsky's books, that epilepsy in years gone by has been called sacred illness, sacred disease, as if it comes from something like sacred element, you know, that causes it, right? Which is so absurd, of course, but that's how they called it in, like, you know, 18th, 19th century, right? When Dostoevsky was still alive, and in 19th century, right? And yeah, this aspect creates the title. That's the reference to the title, that Mr. Valentine is touched by God. He has epilepsy and has been, in a way, touched by God with that gift. You know, gift, like not really a gift, but something that he has to deal with for his whole life. So that's a reference. That's why the title is Touched by God. And I think it plays with what happens in the film as well, quite well. That's my hope, at least. And also, what is the bilingual and epilepsy theme? Okay, yeah. So that's the continuation of the question. So yeah, I've touched on that epilepsy theme already. The bilingual, like, you know, the thing is that, like, the feature doesn't really play that much with, I don't know, with like cultural differences or stuff like that, but it is bilingual script. So characters. It happens in Polish British high school, where most teachers are Polish, but not all of them. And we mix languages in at certain points. Sometimes for dramatical reasons, where Mr. Valentine is not supposed to understand something, or understand something, but only to a certain extent. So that's something that we play with in the feature film, in the script as well. Okay, the next one. How many desks were sacrificed to the axe? Or did you try to get it in one take to spare further desk destruction? Do you want to talk about it?
So yeah. So there were 2 desks, and I go back to it was almost chronological order. So it was very close. It was the second from last scene I think we shot. So there was this anticipation, and the lovely set designer was concerned, and we only have 2 desks, and it did look exactly as these real desks, but it was made of a much softer wood. So as I said, we lined it up, knew where the camera was, lined it up, and on action, I brought the axe down, and I've hit the desk, and it's made a mark but sort of bounced out. So we just stopped, we relined, and with all my might, I kept lining it up, and then I went for it, and it hit the groove and made it went through. So we did it. So we got it on the first desk, and then we set up other angles, and then we used the second desk, and it went in same spot exactly.
Yeah,
and we
were
very lucky.
To be honest, we didn't have to do it on the second desk. I knew I'm gonna use the first one, and I knew we have it. But still, because we had that second desk and we had time, we did go for another take that was a little bit tighter. But I wanted it in the wide shot, and I knew we had it. So so really the closer, the tighter shot wasn't really necessary. We just did it because we had the second desk, tabletop, sorry, that didn't have any other use planned for its future. So
I really enjoyed
we did it again. And of course, it's a VFX shot, by the way, right? So obviously there was no one there on the other side of the desk, and the thing that we do in post. Which I do in post because I'm the editor on this film as well, and editing is something that in general is a beloved aspect for me of filmmaking. So in the post we split the 2 shots so that Jeff and his friend are on the other side, so that it looks this way, and we add, even though it's a very this shot is probably less than a second on the screen. It has to feel real. So what we also do is that even though it was shot on a tripod, we add like this digital wiggle to the shot so that it moves. It looks as if it was shot on a moving camera, handheld camera, right? Especially since those moments surrounding it were also shot on a handheld camera. So we play with that aspect a little bit. And at the end of it, the first take, the first desk is what you see in the film. But we did destroy the other one as well.
Sorry. I destroyed the other one. I did. Yes.
You did. Sorry, I should take credit for it. I should not. Definitely,
no,
I should not.
It was all me. No.
It was. As you say in the making of, it was your Incredible Hulk moment.
It was my Incredible Hulk moment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, how much of the final movie was as you planned before shooting? Was it close to the film you dreamed up, or different as it evolved? So there are differences. I would say that the core hasn't changed, and the differences are really minor, but there are. I think the one that I care most about is that music track during the credits. Even though it's not the part of the film, it's again during the credits. I think it would work so well in the film, but we couldn't clear the rights again, right? The other, I think there are 2 sentences that we removed in the edit from what was in the script and what we shot. But eventually, like, you know, I always like to take feedback from other editors and filmmakers and so on when I edit. So one of the pieces of feedback that I got was the moment where they felt really hooked. So once I knew that moment, which was basically, you know, Mr. Valentine introducing the yellow ticket, I tried to condense the beginning as much as possible, and that's why I sacrificed 2 lines from the beginning of the film to get to that moment a little bit faster. And other than that, there were small dialogue changes that René suggested, or that basically came naturally to him during the take, and it was like, you know, it was something that we agreed on, that it's fine to you know, to keep it loose in a way. We want to convey what's in the script, but at the same time, if a word changes here and there, it doesn't really matter. So like, as long as you know, as all of the important information is conveyed, right? So René did suggest a few changes, both I think as a result of your performance, but also I think you suggested a few changes before we even start shooting, right? A few words that change here and there and stuff like that. And also Michał did suggest Jeff, the second protagonist, so to speak. It's hard to say who's a villain here, so let's say the second protagonist, right? He also suggested a few changes, mostly to what he was doing. So, for example, that moment where he climbs over the desk, right? To record himself with you and mocking you, basically mocking your performance by saying, I will give you like 20 kopecks if you just, stand up, right? And stop this nonsense, stop what you're doing, right? Which is like, he's mocking him like openly, right? And in the script, what I had in mind is him approaching Mr. Valentine and poking him with his shoe. So that was what was in the script, but again, we changed it based on his suggestion, and I think his suggestion was actually better. Yeah, so that's why we took it. Okay, old-fashioned, obsolete. The costume choice for Valentine is fascinating. The jacket with patched elbows is very 1970s. And 10, 15 years ago, and 10, 15 years older in style than someone his age. Yeah, that's true. And this one goes to Zuzanna Andrukiewicz, our costume wardrobe designer, and she did most of this work. She basically created a mood board that we worked from, and she really wanted to. She approached me with a bunch of questions about all of the characters, right? And I think what I told her about Mr. Valentine is that he is someone who respects tradition, and still works. He works in a modern high school, but he respects tradition, and that's I think that's why she took that angle of suggesting a jacket that has those patched elbows. Yeah, go ahead.
And on the day when she showed me, it without a doubt, I wanted that jacket. But I dressed it with blue denim jeans. So he was kind of, that's very now, having a suit jacket, sports jacket, with denim jeans and black shoes. The waistcoat was optional. I didn't have to wear it, but it just felt right for the part. It felt perfect. And the minute I put it on, I was like, yeah, I love it. I want to keep that. That's great. And she was brilliant. She had the tie. She had everything. It was great.
Yes, yes, exactly. And listen to that question because that's a good one. That's a good one. So, did Valentine really lose his shit at the end, or was that all
Shit at
planned?
the end.
Yeah, or was that all planned
Yeah.
to get the students' attention?
Is that for me?
I'm silent because I want you to talk about it first.
Yeah, it was all planned. It was a lesson. It was a lesson. It was. It's the same thing. Are you going to ask me what was in the bottle? Was there vodka in the bottle, or was there water in the bottle? Was it a fake axe? Was it a real axe? Was it a real yellow ticket, or was it just a bit of yellow card that you'd folded? And so it was all part of the day's teaching.
Yeah.
It was Paulina's character at the start says, "Is it going to be one of your inventive lessons?" It was an immersive experience, and it was to bring them into my world, into to Raskolnikov and Marmeladov's world. So, I think that people have said, "And what's the smile? What was the smile about?"
Yes, yes.
So,
So I wanted you to talk about it first because I know that in your interpretation, yes, it was all planned. But to be honest, me writing it, it's a mix of both. So it was pre-planned to a certain extent, but he goes off the rails. He didn't plan to go that far.
Sorry, to add, if I could add to that, because I can't script. Valentine is not going to be able to script what Jeff is going to say, or Frankie with the phone. He's responding to what's going on. Does he have a beginning, a middle, and an end? Yeah. I think he did. Yeah. I think he had a beginning, a middle, and end, and I think that he then started to free fall and was, he still wanted them, and that thing where you haven't even read it, that line when he says, "Okay, just get your pen out and write down what you would do right now if your pen turned into an..." And none of them could write anything because at that moment in time, it's like you haven't even you've not even listened to me.
Yeah. And I know you feel about it this way, but to me, writing it, he had everything planned up to that moment where he says, "Oh God, you haven't even read it. Fuck this." And "fuck this" is the moment where he says beneath his nose, he says, "Fuck this." He turns them back to them and he says, "Raskolnikov, right, took his axe and killed a pawnbroker who was unworthy," right? He looks at Jeff, right? And this is this is the moment where he does things that he didn't plan for. He didn't plan to use that axe in any way. He did plan to use it as a prop at a certain point, but not in this way. But I remember that you actually did talk about that he planned all of this to a certain extent on the set. And I thought it's great that you feel this way. I don't think that you have to feel the way I feel about it. What I like about this ambiguous ending is that we came up with is that you can decide on your own how far was it planned. To me, the moment where he says "fuck this" is the moment where he does things that he hasn't planned. Yeah. Besides the Crime and Punishment book, is there any movies, shows, etc. you would recommend if we liked Yellow Ticket? That's a good one. I love this one.
Yes, yeah.
René, do you have something?
There Will Be Blood.
Yes.
Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood. And the intensity and the...
Did we talk about There Will Be Blood? We did, right? In the prep?
Yes, we did.
Okay, in the prep.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure, but There Will Be Blood is one of my favorite movies ever. I love this film so much. I have like this shot deck. Shot deck is something that I create sometimes for movies that I really love. With every take, every shot from the film on the poster. So basically you have few hundred frames laid out on the poster, right? And I have it in my bathroom, so every time in my bathroom I look at it, because I love this film so much. And you know what I love about Paul Thomas Anderson's films, and something that I resonate with, and something that I definitely inspired by, is that they are very performance heavy. They are very centered around the performance of the actors. And that's definitely something that I admire, and something that I love in movies, and something that I think, again, we explore in the feature film even more. Because there are, I wrote this script in a way to give a chance of a great performance for the actor, and in Touched by God, to the actors, right? Because besides Mr. Valentine, there are a few other characters who have big moments as well, and quite challenging scenes, I think. So yeah, so There Will Be Blood, definitely. The other one that I will mention is a short film that inspired me to actually stop talking about making movies, and to take action finally, and to change, to not be just someone talking about making movies, but someone making them. And it's Thunder Road by Jim Cummings. It's a short film about a eulogy that goes wrong. And it's a one take short film, which is also very admirable. And Jim Cummings' performance, he's the writer, director, and the lead actor of this short film, is so good. And I think that anyone liking Yellow Ticket will definitely love this as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like Thunder Road is, I to be honest, I don't want to compare the two, because Thunder Road to me is, I put it on a pedestal, and to me it's something that that is so brilliant that I just hope that one day I will create something so brilliant as that. Seriously, because I love this short film so much. Yeah, I resonated with it a lot. Yeah, I mean there are more movies for sure, but let's for now stop with those two titles.
I think that they're
Yeah. Either stuff you've personally worked on or have just been a viewer of. Okay, so I guess that's the communication. That's the continuation of that earlier question. Yeah. So again, Thunder Road, definitely. There Will Be Blood, definitely. If we talk about stuff that we've seen, then I mean I love reading comments. I love reading comments on the Omeletto upload. So I think most people have seen Yellow Ticket on Omeletto. It's also on this channel that we will live streaming from, but still the main link that we used so far for promoting the film is Omeletto, and there are some great comments over there. And one of the comments mentions the Breakfast Club, and I've seen the Breakfast Club a few months after writing Yellow Ticket.
right.
But when I watched it, I definitely felt like something that that again I would be a little bit shy to say that you could put both in the same basket, but still I had this feeling of connection between what I wrote, we haven't shot it then yet, and what I watched on the screen. So the Breakfast Club is definitely also a good reference, a good recommendation, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're over the hour. Come on, it felt like 20 minutes to me.
Quick.
Okay, I guess we'll just wait. If there are any other questions, we can answer two more if there are. Okay. Okay, I already asked about the battle in the... Ah, okay, you did. Okay, yeah, I remember answering that comment. So the comment was about like, was it vodka or water in the battle, right? Yeah, in the script, in my, it was what I planned for, it was water. That guy is generally, he's a great teacher. He's a great teacher. He just had it enough. And, and again, that's something that we explore on more in the feature film. Why he had enough. What took him there. Why he prepared that axe in the classroom. To have it with him in the classroom. And there are like a few things, like minor things. And it's not something like, it's not that something very dramatic happened before that lesson. But there are a few things that like just take him in that direction slowly, I think. But it was water. He just really wanted to make a good lesson, and yeah, that's.
And I think it was when Jeff when Jeff calls him out, and I say, "Go and drink it," and Jeff is the only one that wants to take the bottle and drink it. It's like, no, you can't drink it and discover that it's water. Then my cover's blown.
Yes, yeah. So it's. In a way, he says that it's water, he gives it to them, but at the same time, he doesn't want to be checked. Because at this point, it's about a challenge. At this point, like earlier in the film, it probably wouldn't work this way. It wouldn't be so dramatic. But because of all of that back and forth between him and the students, it becomes a challenge. It becomes a game between, him and them, especially Jeff. And that's why he doesn't want to be checked by him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Would you guys actually want Valentine as a teacher? That's a good one, right? That's a good one.
Yeah.
I ask myself the same question when I watch Whiplash, because Whiplash is also a film that has this character who in a way is a brilliant teacher, but at the same time is very bad human being. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think Mr. Valentine is as dark human being as the teacher from Whiplash. I think Mr. Valentine is just flawed, a little bit flawed, but so it's not the same. But still, I watching Whiplash, I ask myself this question as well.
So the teachers in my life, I was just going to say, the teachers in my life that have made an impact on me were the ones that didn't conform, that were a little bit sort of different and off the wall, and they're the ones that now I could shout three of them, and they all had elements of Valentine. I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I also I something that I've also mentioned before, that like I had a few great teachers in my life, and they had very different teaching styles. One of them was very protective of all of the students, and she cared about everyone that she taught, and wanted to really cared about this stuff. The other one was really just like picking her favorite students, and the rest was important to her, but not as much as the one that she picked. And she would have like a very, very aggressive teaching style, but for me it worked, for example, and I consider her to be a great teacher, very, very, very good teacher, seriously. But I know that many students hated her for what she was like. Yeah. And there is a question about Jeff, his character, and how rebellious he is. Michał, the actor were playing Jeff, right? And Michał, he is a little bit rebellious in real life as well. And, during that table read-through that we did a day before the shoot, he didn't make it to that read-through. And I joked that guys, don't worry that he's not here. He's already in the character. that was the joke that I used. But yeah, Michał he's very creative soul. And one of the aspects of that creative soul is that he's, he doesn't follow the rules just because they're stated. So that definitely plays with his character, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Omelette. Do you finance? Do they finance or just distribute? It seems like that impose some things on all their films. So Omelette is just a distribution channel. Seriously, like the thing is like. To promote a short film is not an easy thing because not many people actually watch short films. So a place like Omelette basically has a built-in audience that helps, to get eyes on the film. But there are some drawbacks from it. For example, we can't post the links that we want in the description, right? I would love to post a link to more information about Yellow Tickets, to, for example, like a shot list that we did, right? Stuff like that, like additional stuff to give some additional value. At the same time, I would love to post about the crowdfunding campaign for the feature. And by the way, maybe that's a good moment to mention it. We're crowdfunding again. Yellow Ticket was mostly crowdfunded. And once again, we're doing a crowdfunding campaign, this time on Indiegogo. And, it's... To be honest, like the amount that we're raising is $40,000, so it's a lot. It's a lot of money, but at the same time, unfortunately, filmmaking is just expensive, and I've set the target at 40,000 because I think that it's doable. We can make it for 40,000 if we have that money. At the same time, I want to raise more money eventually, potentially from some sponsors as well, because to do it at the level that I dream of would require a little bit more money than that. But still, I think that whatever amount we raise will help us in those negotiations that we might have later on with sponsors and so on, because we will be a moving train. And the thing that I want to avoid is just trying to greenlight something and just waiting for permission from someone. I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend 2 years just asking for someone, for someone's permission. I would rather just to keep going and take small steps one at a time, even if we have to switch production into 2 or 3 phases and just do maybe 5 days of shooting and then wait a few months before doing another 5 days of shooting, right? I don't really care. I want to do it. I want it to be a moving train rather than just me waiting around and hoping that someone will finance the thing, right? So once again, we're counting on on the community, on the people that like Yellow Ticket, that resonate with what we're trying to do. And you can read more about this on the crowdfunding page on Indiegogo. There is a little bit more of a short synopsis, as you can call it, over there as well. And there are some perks as well. One of them is actually the scene that follows the lesson from the short film, because we did record the read-through with René when I was in Morecambe, when we were in Morecambe during a film festival in the UK. So we will add other actors to it, and we'll create a podcast version of that scene. That's my hope, that we'll create it as a perk for those who want to know what happens just after the lesson in the teacher's lunch. So one of the things we're trying to do to basically give value to people who trust in us and our vision. Yeah. So again, if you can, it would mean the world. But at the same time, I get it. We all have important things. So judge it through your own. Just yeah. Anyway, I don't have the words. Okay, let's wrap it up. Okay. There is a question I think you might want to take. Would René change anything about his performance now that you've talked about the feature after doing the short. So now that you know the feature, because we talked about the feature from very early on, actually. I knew it's going to be a feature. I knew I wanted to develop this story into a longer story, into a feature film story. But the script wasn't ready, and I wasn't sure where I'm going to take it. But now René knows the script. So now knowing the script, would you change the way you approached that scene from Yellow Ticket?
As an overall thing, I wouldn't change the way I approached the project. It would just be on a bigger scale. So I would still go about it the same way. I would still do my research. I would still come as prepared as I should be. The thing that I said to you, Peter, when you talked about the feature was like, I was like, great. So we shoot that scene again. And you were like, no, it's done. We're not shooting it again. I was like, I'd love to shoot it again. And I couldn't put my finger on one particular thing why I would want to shoot it again. But when it's part of a bigger piece, it for me as an actor, I'd go again. I'd 100% go again. And I couldn't tell you one thing that I don't know specifically that I would change. Mm-hmm. But if I had the opportunity, and you were to say, maybe I lose more hair or I get a little bit older, and there's no continuity. We really do need to shoot that scene again. I'd grab it with both hands. So I'm very happy with the finished film, the Yellow Ticket. I'm very happy with it. It's got a beautiful place within the feature. But if you were to say to me tomorrow, do you know what, René, we will have to shoot it again. Absolutely fantastic. Suits me fine. And it does, and that's not me saying, I want to change that or I'd change that, because I don't know if I would. I'd still play the same objective. I'd still face the same obstacles. I'd still interact with the people as much as I did. It's just me being an actor, wanting that extra, one more take, right, Peter?
I totally get it. I totally get it. And, as someone who loves good performance, I wouldn't mind shooting it again either, to be honest. Just to get, try to something else, just to play with it again, because I don't know, I love this dialogue. I love what what we've put on the screen. I really do. So I would love to give it another spin once again, but because of the budgetary restrictions, I don't think we'll be able to shoot it again. So, and I don't think it needs to be shot again. So that's the main reason. The main reason is I don't think it needs to be shot again. And in the feature film, in the script and how I plan, for all of it to come together, there will be only minor editorial changes. So it won't be copy-paste exactly from the short to the feature. But minor directorial changes, removing a few things here and there, and probably a little bit different transitions here and there, right? But other than that, it's gonna be the same. I'm really proud of what we did, and it doesn't need to be changed. That's for sure. But if we are answering from that point of view of would you try it again? Would you shoot it again? Why not? Yeah, if we could, definitely we would play with it again, because it was a lot of fun to shoot it.
And I've done a lot of film. I've done a lot of telly, but also done a lot of theatre. And you perform one night and you try something just slightly different, and you're like, did it work? And you'll say to yourself on the train home or walking home, I like that. I might try that again tomorrow night, and maybe I'll add a little element of that, or I'll take that out. So, and I think that's being in theatre as well. Is you're never going to give the same carbon copy performance that you did the night before or the week before, and
that's a huge difference.
It's giving it. Yeah. And that's not only for you, the actor, but for the other actors on stage and for an audience.
Yeah. That's very interesting, and also, as you said, a huge difference between those two mediums. So similar, because especially Yellow Ticket, it's pretty much a theatrical script. It could be a part of a play, not a movie, right? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for staying with us.
Thank Thank you.
and for the wonderful questions. I really enjoyed it, and I felt as if we talked for like 30 minutes maybe, not an hour 23. So it's a good testament to how it felt to me.
I agree.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, René. We'll do it again in the future.